Welcome. I'm Safura Safavi Long, President of Gratis Technologies, producers of AutoWall, digital solutions for Service Drive, TechWall, SPOL, online payment system. Now, that's all a bunch of mouthful, but welcome to the workshop. So, ladies and gentlemen, this workshop has taken a good bit of work to prepare. So would you do me an honor and use my favorite app and turn off your cell phones, please, so that we can proceed. All right, so what is the state of affairs in the service department and on our streets regularly? The average car on the road has 150,000 miles on it. And that same car is 11 years old. There are 84,000 independent service shops around this country, and there are 240 million recall opportunities. And the saddest one is number 5. The average customer cannot afford a service that's beyond $500. Actually, 63% of the consumers in this country cannot afford that. State of the affair, too. So the customers are keeping these cars longer, and the cars are getting older and older. The statistics show that, unfortunately, 2017 sales will be a lot worse than 2016. And as any of you who are in sales, you know the margins are growing ever smaller when you sell a car. So how are we as automobile dealers to survive? There must be another solid profit center that works for us. So, Mr. Dave Zawoski, president of Hyundai Motor America, in an article published on May 23rd of this year, indicated the following also, that the dealers need to get with the times. Hyundai boss says, rise of millennials will demand changes. Rapidly changing demographics, new buying habits, ride sharing, and electrification will soon put the hurt on profits and volume for manufacturers and dealers alike. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a gloomy state of the affair, unfortunately, but it really is not too far from the truth. So, again, the state of the affair, disruptors. An article, and what is a disruptor? Article written in Forbes magazine by Ms. Howard indicates that the business school professor tells us that disruption displaces an existing market, industry, or technology and produces something new and more efficient and worthwhile. It is at once destructive and creative. Ladies and gentlemen, disruptors replace something that is more efficient and worthwhile, and they can be destructive. Can somebody give me an example of a very, very disruptive but successful company in the world right now? Excellent, excellent. Uber is disruptive. Uber is disrupting whose business? Taxi cab drivers, right? Right now, Uber is very successful. Why is it successful? Because all of us have the app on the telephone. In 10 minutes, we get the Uber guy to come down. You can watch him on your little telephone and see how far he is from you. And ultimately, very reasonably, the guy gets there. So it makes the life of a user better. But also, there's another benefit that this can be a little job that supplements the income of everyday common people. So on that side, it is helping also. So it is more efficient and it is worthwhile. So Uber is very successful. But ladies and gentlemen, there is another study that people don't know. A study done by Oxford University that you know who Uber is really after? You guys, look in the mirror. What Uber is trying to do is make people understand that they don't need cars. That they don't need to deal with all of us. They don't need to come to service department. They don't need to repair the stupid car and have to pay $500 for it, right? They can call the little Uber thing, and that's going to come. And that is the power of Google is behind that. this business is not only disruptive to taxi cab drivers, they have a lot bigger business plan in mind that's far more disruptive than just the taxi world. So that's something to think about. So what are we supposed to do? We have to come up with an avenue that generates more revenue for us. Who's going to win? Well, the smartest and the quickest. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the point that this is now the survival of the fittest. So the best way to keep a disruptor at bay is what? To become one. Join the club. Become a disruptor yourself. How about looking at your business and coming up with niche environments in your dealership that are some little quick, easy ways that you could make a lot of money? Become a disruptor. Look at it. Look at things that will raise your efficiency in different departments and generate more revenue. Believe it or not, you have a very, very strong one. So, what is a disruptor? Disruptors are innovators that come up with solutions that fit their environment better. Not just fits their environment, but fits the environment better, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta become the zebra on the motorcycle if you want to survive the millennium, okay? So, not really, but sort of. Okay, so you have opportunity. What is the opportunity? Being as the cars are getting older, guess what? They need more repair. Being as the cars are older, they're probably real nicely out of warranty. How wonderful. Now, have you accepted this adage that I hear that I really don't like, that old cars go elsewhere? Well, wipe that out of your mind. Old cars don't have to go elsewhere. And being as 63% cannot afford to pay $500, why don't we become a little bit more creative and smarter in being able to take care of these people and bring them back more often? So, one of the places that's a tremendous opportunity that you can make money from the people who already brought the car into the dealership, that your own personal customers, is what? Is declined services. Now, I have a question to ask all of you guys. Probably a bunch of you are from fixed ops. Give me an answer before I bring it up and show it to you. What percentage, we did a nationwide study of clients that are from Northeast to Southwest all across the United States, and believe it or not, the number was pretty uniform. Can you guys, somebody hazard a guess that what percentage of customers have declined services? Before I go to the next slide. What did you say? 40%. Well, that's a good answer. Okay, so which one of these is it? 40, 50, or 20? 50. It's actually a lot less than that. It is 20. 20% was the average that came across. So, that's still a tremendous opportunity for us. Is 20% decline services something that you should react to? Is it considered a failure? Or is it an opportunity? It all depends on how you look at it, how you react. Reaction doesn't mean pick up the phone and yell at your service advisors. Reaction means think smart. Remember, you are now going to think as a disruptor in this business. So think smart. How do you react to something like this? So let's think of it this way. If you had 20% decline services, or whatever ends up being at your dealership, maybe some are a little bit higher, maybe some are a little lower. Let's say 20% is a number. If you reduce that 20% by 10%, what have you done? Have you not increased the business in your service department by 10%? And increased the revenue by 10%? Isn't that a tremendous opportunity, and isn't that a niche environment to get busy for? So, And this is from the share of the same customers you have had. So one way to improve fixed operations would be to simply reduce declined services. But how? That's a question you're probably going to ask. Yeah, well, we're brilliant. We can think of declined services. But how are we going to do that? That's the million-dollar question, and that's the whole purpose of this workshop, ladies and gentlemen. So, at what cost is it, and how are we going to do it? That's what we are going to next discuss. So, now you also say, listen, I have marketing going on at my dealership. I have got my marketing company sending messages to all of these people, and it is not improving by 10%. So, the question here is, do you know what they are sending to the customer? Is it one of those mass emails that your OEM sends to everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, that sort of stuff doesn't work anymore. People are expecting targeted messages that mean something to me as a customer. Okay? What is this costing? Do you have tracking capability to see what you send something to the customer, what has happened with that, and where they went, or what they did with the message you sent them? How much does this cost? And worst of all, how accurate is your data? Is your data coming from CRM? Ladies and gentlemen, I was for years in CRM. One of the biggest problems we ever had was the ability to keep a data clean. The duplicates were just astronomical. Major problem. Where is this data coming from? What are you sending them, and what are you telling them? Is the question to be asked. So, that brings us to the next question. So my answer to you is, well, why should this customer come back? Why should they come back? Do you know why they declined in the first place? What is the impetus for them to come back? What has changed in the first time that they came in and declined the service and now? Who is the person these people are communicating with? And what message are they getting from your dealership? What has changed? So, one thing you can't do is constantly provide them with coupons and things like that. Because what's going to happen? You're going to have a brat of a customer, right? Every time they come in, they decline service, and what happens, you give them another $50 coupon, and that's all you look for every time. Is that a good answer? No. You don't really reduce any decline services that way. Well, you can play Pokemon with them if you want to. That might get you some attention the first time. But, ladies and gentlemen, Pokemon ain't going to hack it. We had the Pokemon there yesterday, but that doesn't get you anywhere either. So, what's the solution? Before we can solve this problem, we have to first, again, find out what is the reason people decline services. What you're going to send them, how you're going to communicate with them, will depend on why did they leave to begin with, okay? So why do customers decline services? We went back and did another major survey on a whole bunch of people and asked them, why do people decline services? Because if you have an answer to that, then maybe you can preempt the declining of the service before the service gets declined to begin with and have much better results. So, somebody guess to answer that? A survey to all of these people came again with very, very similar answers. So, why do customers decline services? Anybody want to guess an answer? Yes?
I think they can get it cheaper somewhere else.
Price. Well, this is kind of a joke. Why do customers decline services? Because they want to work on it themselves. I'm just trying to make sure you guys are staying awake. Okay, so very correct. You said one of it was price. The other one was bad timing. Ladies and gentlemen, what does bad timing mean? Bad timing means I ain't convinced that I need to buy. So, There are cases that somebody thinks it's bad timing, but it's actually very bad, very dangerous. For example, battery that is on the verge of not starting the car. It still passes the test, but any day it's going to go out. Tires that are on the verge of being threadbare. Fluid loss in the vehicle. All of those, if allowed to carry on, will make that $500 repair possibly $2,000. So they think it is not broken. Why fix it? But it's actually very badly broken. It's a matter of communicating. Price and bad timing all means what? It means that I'm not convinced to buy, or I would buy it, right? So what is the third one? Poor presentation on the part of service advisor, because I'm not convinced that I'm supposed to buy this repair. That becomes your biggest problem. Poor presentation on the part of service advisor. So, because of that, the customer, people buy when they're convinced of a need. So let's think of this now. Is service advisor the very best person to communicate with the customer the need? What do you think? Could that be a problem? So, the primary mission, so let's find out what service advisors, this job description is. In 2012, an article written in Auto Dealer Monthly indicated that the primary mission of the service advisor is what? The primary mission of an advisor is to ensure that every customer is driving a safe and reliable vehicle. Still, that is the case today. But let's look at it now. In 2015, a new article written in another magazine indicates that what every service advisor should know about what? Selling. Obviously, the present service advisor is now considered a salesman, which is a perception that the customer has. Now, is this bad? Are we supposed to get mad at our service advisors? No. The reason is because of what? Because fixed operation departments has to be a profit center. You have to deliver at least 100% absorbency in your dealership. So if service department now has to make even more money than sales at times, then your service advisor has to sell, right? It is not his fault. It is not anything wrong. This is how the society and the environment is pushing the service advisor. He has morphed into something different. He's not doing anything wrong. This is what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be selling. So, when you have service advisor appearing as a salesman, no longer as a diagnoser but a salesman, and service department has become a profit center, ladies and gentlemen, in everything that we decide, there is a price to pay. What is the price you paid? The price you paid is the perception of the customer. Now, the customer believes that service advisor is a salesman. If you go on the web, ladies and gentlemen, and search service advisor, just Google it and look at it. There is myriad of information telling people, don't trust that service advisor. He's trying to sell something. Don't believe service advisor. They're trying to get their commission or whatever. So the world believes that the service advisor is a salesman, no longer the advocate for the customer. So what are we supposed to do with that? How do people react to somebody when they think they don't need something, to a salesman? When they perceive somebody is a salesman, and that salesman did not convey that I need to have whatever. No, the very best salesmen are people that can truly define a need and come up with a solution to it. But if the service advisor cannot do it, what happens then? What do? We slam the door in their face, right? So, the customer is not convinced, and so what happens? When the service advisor tells him certain service, what happens? He declines the service. So, now, who diagnoses a true problem in a car? Enter a new actor. You have a new actor in your, well, he's not new, he's been there a very long time. But enter a new actor. Who diagnoses the true problem in a complex system? Nurse or doctor? Engineer or draftsman? Technician or the service advisor, ladies and gentlemen? Who is the person that owns the problem and diagnoses it truthfully? Your technician, isn't it? So, who can fix and who can sell? Is this picture right? The technician can fix and the salesman can sell. That's not necessarily the case at all, because the voice of the technician has merit, because he owns the problem. When he talks, communicates to a customer, he's communicating from a place of knowledge, whereas service advisor isn't. Okay? Service advisor has morphed into what you made him become, a salesman. But technician is the engineer, perceived as such as he truthfully is. Service advisor is not. So he owns the problem. He seems to have no agenda. Okay? Whereas a service advisor seems there is an agenda. So, a case for technician being the identifier of the problem can be made, especially one that has not manifested itself. One that eventually going to cost a lot more. He is the person that diagnoses it. Who is more enabled to perform a proper diagnosis of a complex system on a vehicle? A trained technician or a service advisor? Obviously, you all know the answer to that one. It's the trained technician, right? So, let's see how much training does one of these technicians have nowadays in our dealerships. The Advanced Technology Institute, who trains technicians, says at least 1.5 years of training. Then your franchises require master training. How much does it cost? How much time a master technician spends becoming a master technician? Ladies and gentlemen, they're actually quite impressive when you look at all the work that they do. Mercedes-Benz Corporation, basic technician, has over in that a year and a half, 100 hours for a base technician. This is not master technician. Master technician has to travel somewhere and become more trained. These systems are difficult. And it continues. Porsche Motor Company, all these OEMs, to become a master technician, you have to really become highly educated in this system. So customer believes that this person is in the know. He can view this problem, solve the problem, and talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a tremendous asset for you. That's something you can take advantage of. Okay? This is looking at a problem and looking at it from multitude of angles. And you realize you have the actors in your own dealership right now. It's just that one group has morphed into something different. You still have the other guy. You don't have to go spend more money and hire somebody else. Okay? So you say, what? Are you crazy? You're going to have my technician run out every single time a car comes in, out there and talk to the customer? No, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the disruptive technology? Remember the Uber and the little app on the telephone? Remember the disruptive technology. This is where the disruptive technology will become of assistance. It enables the technician to communicate with customer without ever being in front of the customer. And these things are available. So he can be at his bench communicating. Look at this one. This is a real picture. This guy is a technician. Where is he? He's under the hood of the car. What is he doing? He's on a tablet, on a multi-point inspection, electronic one, sending a message to a customer. How about that? That's a real genuine photograph. Okay. Now, new technology also improves efficiency. Remember, we talked about another niche spot. Efficiency is worth a lot of money. Unfortunately, in our dealerships, we are highly inefficient in a lot of things and destroy cash. Here is another way to make more money. Okay, so your technicians spend 5 out of each 8 hours actually turning wrenches, okay? The other 3, they're chasing after advisor. Then they're chasing back into the parts department and standing in front of the parts counter, moving cars around, waiting around for authorization to do the job. Now, if you had 10 technicians and you managed to improve their time by 2 hours, you're talking about 20 hours. If you have $120 per hour labor charges, that equates to $2,400 a day, $67,200 a month, $800,000 a year. Can you afford to throw that away? No, you can't. Nobody can. So equate this kind of efficiency to a lot of money made. There is your revenue that is being destroyed. So make the life of your technician more efficient. You don't have to hire any new ones either. Okay? So, improved technician efficiency is also good for whom? Good for service advisor, good for parts department. Their time isn't getting wasted either. Just think of your dealership. How many times you see technician standing in front of parts department? Okay? And most importantly, the customer, ladies and gentlemen. You keep calling that customer on the phone, right? If you have a system that can communicate properly through in an interactive manner with the customer, he could be sitting in a meeting and give you an authorization just through his cell phone. Okay? So this kind of thing equates to a lot. Efficiency also improves a great deal of revenue for you. So not only decline services, but the improvements in efficiency is very important. Technician involvement. So now we have made a case that technician involvement is good. So now, this thing we are going to go get, this technology, disruptive technology, what characteristics does it have in order to actually work for you? Okay? Before you make that decision, look at this and remember, they must have features, have to be interactive. What does interactive mean? Interactive means a product that more than one people can communicate with one another through it. Example of which is Facebook. Okay? That's an interactive system. We are buddies, you and I. I stick a picture on there, you see it. I stick a message on there, you see it, and you can answer to me. That's an interactive system that people are members of it and can communicate with one another through it. Secondly, user-friendly, guys. It has to be user-friendly. No huge training, okay? And intuitive. If you're handing this to the technician, probably the best thing they can use in this as a tool would be an inspection sheet, okay? Diagnose problems on the inspection sheet. But the proper inspection sheet, that has dollar amounts and all that on it too. But if you hand the inspection sheet to a technician, he automatically knows how to work it, whether it's electronic or whether it's on the paper, right? Because he's used to it. So this system also needs to have solid customer interface so that customers can get on it readily and easily, and tablet and mobile friendly. And ladies and gentlemen, text. Text to email also would be a good thing, okay? Meaning that your service advisors, if they're not, or your technician, if they're not on the texting system and their email is up, they can still see the text coming in, okay? So you have to have a technology that's user-friendly, that is intuitive, easy to train and understand, as well as interactive. Because now you have, who you cannot train. You're not going to train the customer. You can't train the customer. You have to have something that customer is used to using already also. Okay? Easy to use. So, Volvo Motor Company is actually promoting systems like this right now. I don't know if you're any of your Volvo dealers, you might have heard a little bit about their system. They're trying to promote their personal technician or something like that in the US. So, does this mean that we don't need the service advisor? No, not at all. That would be a mistake. Because as I also showed you, remember the technician was under the hood of the car communicating. You still need a person to be able to communicate with the customer, and service advisor is very much needed. Advisor is directly face-to-face communicating with customer. Customer still comes to the dealership. You have to have a service advisor over there. Service advisor is the voice, the communicator, okay? So, but service advisor through a system like this is fully cognizant. Remember that interactive thing we talked about? He sees exactly what the technician is sending. Parts department should be able to see everything that's going on. Service director should be able to see it because it's interactive, okay? So advisor has to be physically there, but advisor is fully cognizant of what has gone on to the customer. So, results. What are results? At the mid-sized dealership that has installed some of these things and that has taken care of that, they have had 60% of the additional repairs recommended by the technician actually bought. And some of these repairs that the technician recommended were not originally on the RO, okay? On the RO request when the first car came in. So these are all additional. And they have reduced their decline services to 15%. That's 5%. 5% is very, very good. And of course, the efficiency and all that. But working toward 5% more, they haven't been on very long. But, if you were to look at that, you actually do get results. So, I love this picture. So this is all of you are thinking about this now, right? What? I'm supposed to install another software? I know how you guys all feel about software. And I don't feel bad for you because I believe what's going on in your mind. The software technology that we are usually handed in the automobile business is a bit old. The only way people can use these softwares is if you learn the logic of the original programmer or the technician that wrote this software. If you don't know that logic, then you're lost in you have to spend hours and hours and hours of training and $1,000 a day training and all those things. That should not be necessary with this because these systems, if they are intuitive, do we teach people how to use Facebook? No, we don't. Do we teach people how to use Twitter? No, we don't. So software technology that is written in the millennium, ladies and gentlemen, starts with the user interface. It starts with friendliness of the user interface, okay? It starts with the stuff you know, like the multi-point inspection thing that you guys are all used to it. Starts with simple interfaces that people can readily grab and understand. It is intuitive. It doesn't take hours and hours of training. So it should not be that difficult. It should not be such a heart-wrenching thing to be able to install these systems, okay? Because they are recently written, because they have the technology that's available to even the software writers to write better code. So, how about this one? Are you schmuck automotive? Any of you, have you asked your customers that even though they have been abused to give you a 5, do you think they really do it? You and I both know. Again, this is one of those, I want to make sure you guys are all awake. So no, you get really, really bad scores if you don't take care of the customer, no matter how much you ask them for a favor. So for the voice of the service department to be heard, by the customer. For the voice of the service department to be heard by the customer, nobody has to be sitting in front of each other, okay? On Facebook, you're not sitting in front of each other. You're communicating with one another all over. That is an example of an interactive system. So you don't have to be in front of the customer. You don't have to have your employee getting up there and going out there. The voice of the service department, the voice of the technician can be heard through a proper interactive system. So, for this technology also to be successful, you need to have interfaces, again, as I said, that are familiar to the users. Okay? So, for example, electronic inspection report is a great tool. Very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever you're going to go get, focus on simplicity and ease of use. Okay? Focus on simplicity and ease of use. Take it in your own hands, see if you can do it. All right? Whoever you're talking to. And remember, text, text, text. The millennials love text. So if you can't text readily, and pay online, allow them to do that if they want to. They're not forced to it, but they can do that if they wish. So, now, is this all peachy? No, ladies and gentlemen, it is not. Now, your system has to be interactive, it has to be intuitive, but something that's very, very important is a process. You must have a very solid process with this. And the process needs to be physical also and tested. For example, think of this scenario. Some dealerships say, tablet in the hand of a technician, number one, he's going to break it. First and foremost, they don't. They're very, very talented and they don't. Secondly, if they assume they're doing the multi-point inspection with all the little buttons, this guy goes over, looks at the tires, has to run over to his computer, click a button. Then run over to the car, look at the battery, then run over to the computer, click a button. Is that a sustainable process? I venture to say no. He'll either stop using it, or he'll have a heart attack in the heat, or whatever, running back and forth. Come up with a sustainable process, okay, that actually physically works. Again, simple. None of this has to be extremely complex. So, is it all peachy again? No. You have one other thing to deal with, and that's your OEM. Remember the big boss of Hyundai, talking about you guys all getting with it and getting to use stuff that is a state of the art and learning to take care of millennials properly. They are the same ones that also tell you, as a franchisee dealer, to use softwares and technology that are software and technology of the past, and don't necessarily do this stuff. It is very, very difficult for some of the new, really state-of-the-art products to get attention with OEM, because the chicken and the egg, You guys cannot sign up with them because they don't have 5,000 customers, but they will not talk to them because they don't have customers. So the fact of the matter is that you need to decide, you are ultimately the decision maker. You guys, if your dealership is out of trust, Mr. Zukoski doesn't do anything about it. You are the one. If your service department is not making money, you are the one they look at and say, why are you doing such a lousy job? So sometimes you have to finally take this by the horn and do something different, okay? You might have to do something different. If you really want to do what I'm talking about here, some change is needed with the technology. The technology has to have certain characteristics, okay? And look for those characteristics. If the thing that OEM tells you has those characteristics, more power to you. If it doesn't, go get one that does. Okay? So, there is no secret to success here. There is no magic wand here, ladies and gentlemen. It's all hard work. Okay? The result of hard work is a proper product that you might choose that would fit your dealership and your environment. And you might have to realize that the result of learning from previous errors is the fact that now maybe you can come up and make a decision that you might have to do your own thing, okay, and choose something different. So, and there are times that there are OEM that give you money and all that. You need to, in just a minute, we'll get into that, but measure your budget and see if those monies are worth having, okay, or how much is it costing you in the long run. So, for a project to succeed, ladies and gentlemen, all participants must accept to do the job. You have to have a proper process that's followable, but these people, everybody in your department, in your service area, everybody has to accept that this is a project we're all sticking with, and you are responsible to assuring that that's going to happen. Every person must be held accountable to this. So, which brings us to another requirement of the technology. Easy to use reporting. Whatever it is that you go to look at, make sure that the reports are easily doable. Maybe they can be automated to come to you. Remember, for this to be successful, that multi-point inspection thing has to be done for every single customer, okay? If it is not done, then the system will not succeed. So you have to have understandable and simple reporting that works for you, that's automatically sent to you also. Okay? So every single RO must have with it this process, whatever it is that you choose, ultimately. So now you're going to say, oh, Lordy, what's this thing going to cost? Don't shiver. It doesn't have to be that bad. And I'm not going to say the old adage that you sell one car and you make the money. No. But first and foremost, you guys are all smart people. You have done budgeting. Figure out what's your 10% worth. How you can improve efficiency, what is that worth? And come up with the bottom line. See if this thing is going to work for you and be valuable, okay? That 10% and the efficiency and all have a great deal of value to them. See what is that amount, dollar amount, okay? Then make yourself a budget. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of tools in the web that you can get to calculate a budget. I have a very simple one I'll show you. It's taken me I usually like to do these things, but I'll be glad to send it to you if you want to have it. But most of you have systems. Make a budget that says, okay, this is my cost in this is my cost in that. The only thing really that you should have a cost in is the system that you, whatever it is that you get, and maybe some simple equipment, okay, like tablets and things like that. Beyond that, you really should not have. But make a little budget for yourself. And it doesn't cost any money, okay? Then go choose a vendor. For example, I like to use a simple little calculator like that. It's just Excel sheet, okay? If I have to add employee, what would be, there has another sheet that is our assumptions. Put little assumptions with it. Now, do you need new employee? You shouldn't have need for new employee unless you're going to hire more technicians, okay? If you want to hire more technicians because you got more service, yeah. How much does it cost to buy tablets? How much does it cost the monthly on this thing? What is the upfront on it? Whatever it is, that technology, disruptive technology we're talking about. If you want, just see me after here and give me your email, and this is all I'll send you. And also, one other very important thing is CSI, improvements on CSI, part of this project. Because improvements in CSI cost you a lot of money. Not just with OEM, but with customer too, okay? You need to be able to communicate with customers every single time, after every single service. We want to hear your voice, what's happening with you, okay? In order to survive, we've got to get to that level, a granular level of communication. Broad templating people doesn't work anymore. And with the systems at your fingertip, you really shouldn't have to do that. So, realize that this new level of technology might need a new infrastructure of software. This is not, I'm not talking about you go dump your DMS and CRM and all your other softwares. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that these systems have to be written in a different infrastructure, okay? They are not the CC plus systems of dealer track, I don't mean to name anybody, companies that provide us DMS. That stuff doesn't hack it. That's what I'm talking about. You need to look for some trailblazers. And please be cognizant of this piloting business. Somebody asks you, why don't you pilot our system? Well, the next question is, has this thing not been tested? Why do I need to pilot your system? Now, if we're going to pilot so that our processes at our dealership is going to work better, well, maybe that's the case. But you know, you are not the responsible party for testing a software system. You might want to pilot for time being to see if your processes are going to ultimately work with this system. And that might be, you might ask whoever it is, the vendor that you choose, can we do that? Okay, can we not sign a whatever year contract they choose so that we can just first test it at our dealership? Because it is a new idea. But you don't need to be piloting software for anybody, okay? So, remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are an entrepreneur. You guys are here because you have worked very, very hard to get here. You have systems in place to work for you. And in today's world, I'm sorry to tell you, there is a lot of people after your pot of gold. There are a lot of disruptors. As at the very onset, I talked about that. Uber has the power of Google behind them to disrupt your business, and that's exactly what they like to do. Okay, so protect your pot of gold. Don't let them have it. That's it. I would love to hear your opinion and any questions anybody has. Please holler. I was told it's 5 minutes, so I better stop talking. So, anybody has any questions? Very good. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you.